So I started when I was 16 or 17 years of age. I was one of them kids, super sweaty, competitive, sporty kids, grew up doing a lot of mainstream sports. And as soon as it got to like a really high level, just sucked the fun out. And then when I got to sixth form, I just was struggling, like mentally. My headspace was pretty south at that point. Some days I'll get dressed up, pretend I was going to school, and obviously just go to skate park. And I was one of them kids that was just going on like rollerblades, BMX, skateboard, and then one kid had like a scooter. Yeah, I just took to it, like within literally a few days was able to like tail whip, bar spin, 180 and stuff like that, and I was like, wow, this is actually pretty addictive. My name is Danny Roberts, I'm the owner of Supremacy scooters, and this is my journey. Next thing you know, I jumped online, started to search into it, Terry Price's video, Ben J's video, realised that you can do a lot more on these, and then next thing you know I was on Skate Hut, pretty sure Skate Hut a dog, and got my first JD Bug Pro, the foldable in black, which was sick, straight off the Madden's, local DIY store. Obviously bolted the foldy because at this point I was still 17 and 6'1", so needed to strengthen it up, and since then, never looked back. So Supremacy came about in 2015 after having my store, Supreme Scooters, for 3 years. Obviously selling everyone else's stuff, realised there was a gap in the market because at this point I was still very much considered like an older rider, or at least a taller and heavier rider. So a lot of the parts were, obviously some of the parts were sick, but to me relatively weak. Like I was obviously going through parts a lot quicker than your average kid would. And yeah, as I was meeting more and more people and clashing heads with the right brains, I realised that it's actually doable to make this sort of thing happen. So plenty of emails later, and obviously conversations later from when I was going to like events and festivals and stuff, I realised that, okay, yeah, if I actually like dedicate a lot of time to this, I can make it happen. So yeah, late 2015, ran the idea through with Will at SRO, and I went from random sketches on A4 paper to obviously 3D design to the actual hard goods, and then we launched it end of 2015. The first actual hard good product was the Trojan bar. So again, our French designer done a sick job of that, the T-bar with a little like X-Wild on top. Back then, super durable as well, and we had them in 3 colours. We had raw, black and gold. The point when I realised that I could actually probably do this full time or dedicate literally every hour of the day to is probably the start of 2016 when it went worldwide. So we confirmed distributors with America, Australia, we had Centrano dealing with all of Europe, and I just remember like obviously after the drop of a few hard goods at this point, I went on my phone and was getting literally tagged from all over the world and realised, oh my days, like this is so sick to see, literally 0 to 100, and that was within probably 6 months of launching the brand. So yeah, that was definitely the pinnacle. So yeah, the best bunch of guys. I'm super lucky to obviously have them represent the brand. I think for me personally, it was a little weird at first because I am still a sponsored rider, so I understand like the ways that companies should probably go about it, and obviously I've learned a lot over the years. So when it came to choosing a team, I didn't just want to pick someone that had the most followers or someone that was dead active. I actually cared about whether the person was actually sound, whether he actually had his head screwed on, whether he knew about obviously the brand, like general brand identity and my sort of vision on things. So yeah, they're really good guys. I'd say that a lot of them are on like the come up, even though they're super talented, so they're still in that sort of phase where they're obviously growing and learning probably daily. So started off with obviously a smaller UK team. I got the likes of Turks and Harvey, who were like 2 of my best mates. They've obviously stood by my side since the days of having Supreme scooters, so they understand obviously the movement entirely. But I think the best thing about them guys is they're just still super passionate. They don't expect a lot, which is obviously helpful for me because they understand that I'm not just your average 50-year-old in a suit willing to splash cash and obviously fly them around. At some point, I'd love to get to that stage obviously, but for now it's like in the sort of early stages still of like rebirthing, rebranding, obviously getting the foundation set and pushing things in the right direction. So yeah, any ideas they have, they bounce off me. Any ideas I have, we're just in a group chat, and it's good vibes. Obviously everything, as I mentioned, was like plain sailing even from Supreme Scooters. So from 2012 through till 2016, everything was solid. Like one big learning curve was learning about the general logistics of how to run a business, dealing with actual customers and consumers like worldwide. And then I obviously clashed heads with Will So joined forces with Will Prentice in 2016, and then 2017 again everything was blessed. So he seemed super passionate at the time, I was super passionate, we shared an office in Market Harborough, so every day was like most kids' dreams, you know, just scooters, planning ideas, planning trips, you've got team riders, parts coming in, parts going out. And then by I think end of 2018 we actually outgrown the space because we had Joel down south distributing our parts, which was sound at the time financially, but you had no actual control over the stock. So we decided to move into bigger premises again in Market Harborough. So we actually rented 2 units. We had 4,500 square foot, meaning like, you know, we have to work a lot harder now to obviously pay for the overheads. Not only that, but we took Harvey on as an apprentice, and then Will took one of his friends on, so there's a few more outgoings to obviously deal with. And basically, yeah, from the point of getting the warehouse and trying to fill it with stock to when Will's vision sort of just steered like quite far from actual scooters, it was clear his passions was in like other stuff. Things started to just deteriorate pretty rapidly in my opinion, so a lot of the money that was going into the business was then going into obviously personal use for him, and for me that was the killer part, because I've never really wanted to, I'm not here for financial reasons, like I love the industry, I love the community, I love giving back. So when I realised that we were on sort of different paths in that sense, instead of clashing heads on a positive one, it definitely started to go a little south. And then COVID hit, and like it did for millions of people, screwed over a lot of stuff, and the contract was terminated after just a month. So yeah, next thing you know I was unemployed for the first time since I was 17, and I spent 2 weeks just having to redo my CV, which again I hadn't done for about 7-8 years at this point. Ended up at DHL warehouse, which, as a heads up, just I don't want anyone working there, like that place is not good. And obviously during lockdown everyone was ordering, so between 3-4 of us on the top of the handball, we're doing like 7,000 to 10,000 like parcels a shift, and it's like backbreaking, especially in obviously spring, summer, because people are ordering like soil and gym equipment, and you're just repeating the same motion. So whilst that was happening, the only thing I had to keep me sane was obviously the brand Supremacy, which, don't get me wrong, at this point was very stagnant because it hadn't been super active. So all the wages that I was getting was obviously being paid for like board and general food, fuel, and then whatever was left I was just putting into stuff I knew I could do on my own, so like grip tape, merch, like all the stuff that you guys have probably seen, literally as a creative outlet to stay sane. And yeah, I think that proved to me then at that point how passionate and committed I really was to making this happen. And obviously now since then, like everything's worked out, bless. I'm now full-time at THQ, which has now become distributors of Supremacy. The ball's up, like the ball's rolling again, momentum's there, and yeah, we're back on good terms. Amazing riders across the world, obviously being put on platforms to showcase what they're capable of doing. That's helped not only bring a lot of money into the industry, but also given riders the chance to obviously live off it, which is huge. Again, I didn't even know being sponsored as a scooter rider was a thing when I was 17 until I got sponsored, and like everything, like it's skipping stone onto the next thing. Didn't think I'd ever have a business in scooters. I didn't even think I'd ever be able to live off scooters, to be honest, and that's why I'm super grateful to be in the position that I am, to obviously give back to you guys, because I know how much it means to everyone and how much it means to me. And in regards to obviously a business level, like I said, to have my own shop at 18 in the sort of headspace I was at, getting kicked out of sixth form and being a bit of a bum, not that I ever was, like I always knew what was good, but I was in like the wrong headspace, that was like a huge turnaround, not only for myself but obviously like family and friends too. And for that to lead on to be from retail to obviously then actually manufacturing and distributing and just running a brand is incredible. And the best thing is that's the same for everyone, like everyone that's behind the brand currently, they understand what's good, at least most of them do. And I think for me the best part is just giving back. Super rewarding seeing people obviously live and have the same passions that we all do, and obviously just to give back to you guys is incredible. Yeah, so that keeps me going. Maybe to compare with every other sport that I've done at a high level, or at least competed maybe like nationally, like with like athletics and football and stuff, there was just something so whack in my opinion about having a coach maybe. So for example, if you play at high level football, like you'll always have someone to shout at you or tell you where you're going wrong, which ain't always a bad thing, but when you're young and obviously you're still like sort of experimenting with like other sports and exploring, it can be pretty maybe demoralising. I don't know, it sucks the fun out of it. And then when it comes to scooters, for me, that freedom is obviously insane. Like for me, there's no better feeling. Like you could finish a day's work, you go back to skate park, especially if it's a nice day, you put your headphones in, and that feeling of just rolling around for me is like unbeatable. You go at your own pace. If you want to progress, that's down to you. Obviously you bounce off others, and you know, another way of describing it is the skate park for me is my equivalent of a pub for most people my age. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to go for a pint, but like the idea is when it comes to scooters, that's my sort of creative outlet, that's my social HQ, that's my sort of freedom of just feeling good basically. If you love it enough, you will make time for it. Like again, these are like super cheesy sayings, but they're there for a reason. Like you will make time for it if you really do love it. And I think that's the same for me at a business level now. Like I've realised that despite being full-time in a normal job, working 40 plus hours a week, I've still found the time in evenings and more early mornings, weekends to obviously dedicate to Supremacy, to get it to a point now where I think, you know, within 12 months to come, maybe 24 months, I'm going to be doing this full-time, which is obviously the plan. It sort of is full-time anyway, but like at the moment I've got like a 50-50 split with THQ and Supremacy. I think if you really do just stick to it and obviously understand that it's not going to be a smooth road, like you are going to come across a lot of challenges along the way. You are going to be challenged, but at the same time, for me personally, that's what's helped me grow as an individual, helped me grow as a rider, grow as a businessman, if that's what you want to call it. But at the same time, it's just like a constant learning curve. Like from going from sixth form and not even doing anything business related to actually dealing with money through a till at a store, to then dealing with massive orders when it comes to obviously our factories in China or wherever they're based. It's honestly a constant learning curve, but yeah, make the time for it, don't give up basically, and yeah, obviously wish you all best of luck whoever does try to. Thank you for watching, guys. Obviously your future's hidden in your daily routine, so if you want something, go out and get it. Peace.